Hey guys, it's Faith. I'm very, very excited. One of my favorite mastermind students is here today to talk about her blogging journey. I've been really trying on the podcast lately to have a variety of different people on here. I think it's important for you guys to hear from other people what their blogging journey is like. I think often we're in our little blogging bubbles and we think everyone is overnight making 10K months except for me, and I am the only one struggling. I'm the only one learning tough lessons. And I just want you guys to hear from some other blogging colleagues, if you will, about what their journey is like and their biggest takeaways. And hopefully we can all just learn from each other's mistakes and struggles and triumphs and all the things. So I'm very exciting. I have Becki here today. Becki, do you want to tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do on the internet world?
I will be glad to. I am Becki Svare, and my blog is A Book Lover's Adventures. And it started 4.5 years ago as a blog about travels, books, and family. And as I've gone along, it's continually gotten narrower and narrower and narrower. So
let's talk about that, because I get this resistance from people a lot where they're like, I don't want to niche down. I want to talk about all the things. So what made you decide? Did you ever have that resistance at all? And what made you decide to want to narrow down?
I did. When I first started, I was coming out of a job that I really loved and had to quit so that I could be more present for my mom as a caregiver. And so I gave myself a year to just blog about whatever I wanted to and kind of see what stuck, what I liked, and then figured I would go from there. Books and travel kind of stuck with me, and Harry Potter. And so for a long time, those were the three things that I talked about. And then travel became not part of my life anymore because my caregiving responsibilities just became too much. And so my shift kind of came to Harry Potter and literary escapes. And then after my mom passed away and COVID hit, within like a week of each other, literary escape seemed like a really good idea. And so since I was already there, I just embraced it. So,
well, I love how you married those together, because I didn't realize that you were, I just always in my mind, you're like book club person, because that's what you've been doing in my mastermind. But I think it's interesting that you made your travel blog into this literary escape, because your branding and your messaging is still very much like centered around travel, even though it's a book club, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, prior to this, I'd never been in a book club before. but I knew I wanted one. And so I figured I came into it with no preconceived notions of what it should be. So.
I love this. For those of you that don't know, Becki just launched her book club, right? It was your first launch for your book club. And so she now runs a book club, even though she's never been a member of a book club. So let that be expansive to you.
Exactly.
You don't have to have been in a book club to have a paid book club launch.
Exactly.
Let's talk about your book club. So you went through this process of narrowing down. You're like, I'm going to do literary escapes. We're all stuck in our freaking houses.
Exactly. Yep.
I love the marketing around that. We're all stuck in our houses. We're going to do literary escapes. How did you come up with the book club idea to sell, or did you have other ideas of things to sell?
Well, I really didn't know where I was going with it, to be honest with you. I did last year, I guess beginning of 2020, I did a Read Around the World challenge. And it was just an opt-in, and then I made a Facebook group out of it. And honestly, if I was in there maybe once or twice a month at best, telling them what books we're reading, and that was it. I didn't have the capacity for a whole lot more than that. And this year I decided that I wanted to try an actual book club, and I wanted it to be paid. And so I wrote down all my thoughts on it.
She's holding up a mind map for them.
Yep. My big dump. Yeah. And I knew what I wanted with it. I knew I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be community focused. I wanted obviously books. I wanted travel, and I wanted authors to be part of it. And then I wasn't sure how else it would play out, but I knew I wanted those things. And so I had read a book back in October that was called 80 Days to Elsewhere. And it was a fun romp around the world, basically. And I decided to start with that and put it out there as I'm going to do a January challenge and we're going to read this book. Does anyone want to join me? And I had contacted the author and she said she could join us at the end of the month. And so I kind of planned out when people started saying, yeah, that'd be fun. You know, I decided, okay, I need to be really strategic with this because I'm building to something. And so I needed to have people build the community with me. It couldn't just be me. And so I decided to have a bingo game. And so the whole point of the bingo game was to get people engaged with each other. And so there were squares on there like comment on somebody's post on Facebook, introduce yourself on Facebook, join one of the Facebook or join us on one of the Zooms, you know, read a book, you know, read one of the books that are for the month. Join us for the author chat.
That's so awesome. I want to do a bingo card now in my Facebook group.
It's fun.
Sounds so awesome. Yeah. Well, I love the idea. I love that you realized that. You were like, I need to get people to connect with each other. And also I need like a clever way to get them to do that.
Exactly. And I knew it wouldn't happen organically because most of these people didn't know each other. So I knew that they weren't just going to all of a sudden start talking to each other.
Yeah, but I think it's so smart. Like, and I love the idea of community building because I found this with the Breakthroughs group and especially with the mastermind. When you have a community, it almost becomes like its own thing. And it's like, yeah, I lead those communities, but it's not just like the faith show all the time. Right. It's like you guys connect and network with each other and work on projects and go on each other's podcasts. And like people are doing all kinds of stuff in those communities, which is so awesome and so special. And I think people are willing to pay for community. So did you have any mindset drama around selling a book club? Tell me all the things, Becki.
I did. And it's funny because I had to make a note to myself, the drama is optional.
Oh my gosh, I love that. She has a Post-it note on her desk.
I have it right in front of my face because I feel like it's a good thing to remember. But coming from the book community, making money in that community in particular is not encouraged at all. Book bloggers do book blogs because they love books and they don't want to get paid for it. They feel like getting books is enough of compensation and that's all they want from it. And so I had to shift from being a book blogger to something else.
A businesswoman.
Exactly. I didn't make that shift immediately. I will say that. So my next jump prior to that was literary escape artist. And so I made a mug and it has literary escape artist on it. And I kept it in front of my face for a long time.
I love that.
To remind myself that I'm not a book blogger. I'm a literary escape artist. I'm allowed to make money.
I've never heard that. Did you make that up? Did you give yourself your own title?
I did.
Like, this is what I am. Is it a real thing? I don't know, but this is what I am.
It doesn't have to be. Yeah, that's what I decided.
That's awesome.
It was what I wanted to be. And so I created the position for myself.
And now I am. Exactly. It's amazing how that works, right? It's like magic.
It is. And so it took me a while to get used to the idea of it's okay to make money with it.
What were some of the things that were coming up? Like when you were like, before you got to it's okay to make money, you were just really in this place of what? I should be doing it for free?
Why would anyone want to pay for it when there's so many book clubs out there for free? And that was my biggest struggle is why would somebody want to pay for it?
Yeah, this is great because I think a lot of people have this, right? Where they're like, well, there's some version of what I do that's free. Mm-hmm. Why would someone pay me for X, Y, and Z when this person has a free podcast or this person has a free, like whatever, free resource, free group? Why would anybody pay for my stuff? So how did you get through that?
Well, my mind map was part of how I got through that, to be honest with you, because in my research, I went through and I looked to see like what kind of things are out there. And a lot of them are just like my old Facebook group, where somebody would say what books we're reading, and that was it. That was the whole book club. And some of them, they had authors on, some of them didn't, some of them had discussions, some of them didn't. But from what I could see, the community piece wasn't there. And I knew that's what I wanted, and that's what I was selling, but that's a hard one. so, so I came to the point of, well, how do you sell that?
Right. So what's hard about it? What was hard about it? Just the idea of like, why would someone pay for a community?
Well, convincing someone that they want it, what it's going to feel like for them.
Yeah,
And
you're a genius marketer, by the way. So she did her market research, probably without even realizing, right? She did her market research. She found a gap in the market. She's like, this is how my thing can be different, right? How what I'm going to sell is different than everyone else's. And then she starts thinking like, how can I get people to pay for it? Like, why would people pay for it? How do I need to market it to get people to pay for it? So what did you end up doing with your marketing then to sell that community?
well, I decided they needed to experience it. And so I held this month-long challenge for the whole month of January so that they would know by the end of the month what it was. And so from the get-go, I was on Facebook Lives all the time, so they knew who I was. And, following your example, setting the tone for the community, encouraging people when they post, thanks for doing this, and, all of that kind of stuff. Just propping everybody up, building the community, encouraging the communication between everybody, having fun with it. And after the first book chat where people were all on there together, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
Right, because you were doing yours on Zoom, right? They were all on Zoom. Was it every week, or it was, how often were you getting with them?
I had 3 planned for the month. And I had to do a month because we were reading books. The first one was a book chat for the first book that we read, or one of the books that we read. And I encouraged them, even if you didn't read the book, come, So the first half hour, we talked about the book and discussed it, and, everybody had their thoughts on it. And then the second half of the book, because it was around the world in 80 days. And so the second half of our Zoom, we just sat and had travel stories. And, have you visited any of these places? And, we got caught up on travel mishaps. Who hasn't had those, And so everybody loved that. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. So it progressed from there.
That's so awesome. What a really cool special offer. And this is such a great example too, because even if someone else did have a book club with Zoom calls, it's like no one else can ever have your book club with Zoom calls, right? Yeah. It's like the people that want to hang out with you and want to hang out in your type of community, especially because you're so niched with the travel thing too, right? And the adventure, the literary adventure and literary escape artists. We often think like, oh, there's no room for me. But really, it's like if you're providing people an experience, like they want to hang out with you,
they
right?
Want to hang out. Yeah. And it's funny, the people that are showing up and enjoying it. It probably wouldn't have been who I would have chosen, but they're awesome.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing. And toward the end of it, I started asking questions in the group, what has been your favorite thing that we've done this month? What things on the bingo did you really enjoy? And, what did you think about that? And so kind of leading them through why they liked it and why they needed it. And then I planned a wrap-up party for the end of the month, because people started asking the question, what's next? What are we reading next month?
You're like, oh, how convenient.
And I said, I tell you what, let's have a wrap-up party and we'll talk about that. And so
and that was your pitch, right? Was that where you pitched your paid offer?
It is. And so I had a slideshow. And
there you go.
I went through it, and I kind of led them on a journey through our month and explained at the beginning. I laid out kind of where I was coming from, why I started the group, what my last couple of years had been like, and kind of how I got here. And how our month progressed. And I used their own words in there a lot because they had given me a lot to work with. And so I used their words in there of, this has been so much fun. And, I love the bingo because, whatever. And I said, and then you guys asked me what's next. And so here's what I've come up with. I'm going to make 2 groups. This group, it's going to be called the Literary Escape Society. And in this group, we're going to do everything we did this month. We're going to have the book chats. We're going to have the author chats. We're going to play games. We're going to, all of that. That's going to be our group. I said, and then I'm going to have another group that's going to be less, not as much going on. It's going to be a free group though. So anybody can join it that wants to. And then, of course, the question is, how much is this going to be? And so I laid that out and told them how much it was going to be. And I said, it's $10 a month, $100 if you pay for the year. And if you pay tonight, it'll be $90. And so I just kind of laid it out there. And I said, so if you got any questions, go ahead and throw them at me, because I'm sure you do. And then, so there was like dead silence. I'm like, crap. So I just sat there and waited. And somebody's like, well, of course you should get paid. This has been a great month. I don't have any problem paying you. And they were like, well, yeah, this has been great. And, if you're getting the authors and, organizing it all and paying for Zoom, I'm happy to pay you. And so I was like, okay. And so I got 3 people signed up that night, and they all paid for the year.
I love this. I love this story so much because I remember coaching you right before this launch. And I remember specifically coaching you going, people would not pay $90 for a book club.
Yeah.
We should get that soundbite and put it in here. She's like, people would not pay $90. And they paid you, not only did they pay you $90 for the book club, they paid you easily and happily, right?
Mm-hmm. They did. They were super excited.
Excited to pay her $90 for her book club.
And so I said, I'll keep this price up until when I get up tomorrow. I said, if I closed it out tonight before I went to bed, it'd be closed in a half an hour. So, I said, I'll leave it open till tomorrow. And whenever I get up is when I'm going to close it. So I closed it the next morning, and it went up to $100. Over the month, I've had 4 more people sign up at the $100. And so, I've got 7 paid people, and
oh my gosh, are you so excited?
Almost $700.
That's incredible, right? For running a book club, and you're doing exactly what you wanted. You're getting paid to run a book club now.
I am, and authors are happy to come in and meet people. And this month I had a food blogger on because we read Pride and Prejudice. And she made all these cool little foods that unfortunately we couldn't taste unless we cooked them. But
that's so cool.
But everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, that was so much fun!" And so it's a blast to do whatever I want with them, and
that's so awesome.
Enjoy it. So yeah,
I think a lot of times I see people do sales and they just assume people would know that it's great. So what a lot of people would have done that I've coached and I've seen people do their launches where they would have done their free thing like you did. And then they would just assume, well, if they wanted to buy, they would buy, and they wouldn't have done the pitch. I think what you did that made such a big difference was you pitched your thing and you told them why they should pay. And you were like, hey, we did this. Didn't you guys like this? And you know how we did this. Right. And you didn't assume that they knew why they should pay you or they knew why they would want it. And you didn't assume, if they wanted it, they would just pay for it.
Right.
So I think connecting those dots in a launch is really, really important and really important when you do sales. And I think a lot of people have a lot of resistance to that. A lot of people don't want to ask for the sale. They they'll do their free thing.
Hard.
Yeah, they do the free thing and then they kind of let it hang. They're like, well, maybe I'll post a link. A lot of people would have did that whole month and then just posted their link a couple times.
And I've done that before on plenty of launches before. I'll mention it once, post a link. I got one sale. What a crappy launch. And that was it, So yeah, this was my word of the year for this year has been fearless.
Oh, I love it. She showed me her coffee
put it on a mug.
Yeah.
And I have it in front of my face every day.
Yeah, that was a brave thing to do. Did it feel scary to you to do that pitch, or what did you
Oh
feel
my
like?
gosh, it felt so scary. And on my mind map, I have Bible verses on it as well. Before I took, I don't know, at least 15, 20 minutes prior to going live with them. And I have music I listen to. I looked at my Bible verses. I looked at my mind map of what it is we're creating and got in the right headspace so that it didn't feel pitchy. Tonight, actually, I'm opening it up again for 2 days. And so I'm hoping to have some of the same same energy go with it.
I think mindset around sales is everything, right? And I love that you're like praying and doing all the things you need to do to get in that energy of being fearless, right? And asking for the sale. I think a lot of people feel weird asking to be paid. Women feel weird getting paid, right? We think we should do everything for free.
We're so used to it.
Or we're just like, no, you don't have to pay me. I'll just do it for free. You don't have to pay me. I'll do it for free. I don't need it, buddy.
When you go from a traditional job to wanting to make this full time, like a lot of people do, you're focused on replacing a salary. And I haven't been working for 4.5 years. And so it's not replacing a salary. And so it is weird. It takes some mental gymnastics some days.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Mental gymnastics. What made you decide to want to do a membership model as opposed to just selling it as a one-off or selling it every month?
I had debated that one. And for some reason, for a long time, I keep going back to the membership model. And I think I just want the community. I want people that are mine that I can go in and enjoy with and to nurture them and appreciate them. And, I just want my group, I guess.
I love community. Well, I'm a huge fan, obviously, of Facebook groups and community. Right. I also have a membership.
Yeah.
But I love how intentional you are with your community, because it sounds like you really put a lot of thought into getting them to interact with each other and looking and see what was working and what wasn't working and what they like and what they don't like. And I think people have this misconception about creating community that you just like open a Facebook group and that's it. And like creating a culture in a community. I know like we have team meetings and stuff about creating the culture in the mastermind and how we want to be more inclusive and like all these different things. I think that people don't realize how much intention it really takes to build a thoughtful.
I think so, yeah. And I think that for it to be, because I did have a vision of what I wanted, I knew I had to be super intentional with it. And versus my other group that I had zero vision with, I just wanted people. I had people, but I didn't do anything with them. And some of them followed me, but a lot of them didn't because they didn't really know me. So
yeah, they didn't know who you were, right?
And so I gave them, a couple of weeks notice. Hey, I'm doing something different. I went live in there a few times, said, I'm going to be closing this group down, starting this new one. You're welcome to join me. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if you do, come on over. I'd love to have you. And shut her down. So
good for you. A lot of people are so resistant to doing that too, where it's like, if you want to pivot or you want to do something different, it's like you need to cut your losses with the other stuff and go all in with the first thing. That's hard. People are like, I have like 200 people in this Facebook group and it's about sewing, but I want to do this other thing. And it's like, cut the group. I'm like, are you making 6 figures off of that group? Like, no, like burn it down. Like abandoned ship.
I have a whole group of people that are my Harry Potter people, and I'm pivoting away from them. And that's hard because, it's probably 800 people on my list. And it's like, whew. So
you're going to get to a place where 800 people is like nothing. She's going to have like 10 times that in a year.
Well, and the beauty is I don't have to have a lot of people for it to be successful. I mean, my 7 people, I'm feeling pretty stinking successful,
I love that mindset, because so many people think like I need tens of thousands of page views and thousands of email subscribers. And you're just like, no, I just need a few people that I nurture really well and that are anchored into this community. And I know I can, I know I can sell them, right? You're like, I know I can sell them on the community if they engage and participate.
Yeah.
Do you have any words of wisdom for anybody that's listening to this? Maybe if they're wanting to do a launch, but they're feeling scared to ask for the sale?
Be clear about what it is you have to offer and why your people need it. And don't think of it as selling, but think of it as giving them what they need. And I was helped along that journey by asking my people the questions and was able to use their words, like, this is what it is. And it was their words. And so they knew they wanted it. So ask them, if you have a community, ask them what they like about it. And then you can sell them on it because you're using their words.
Yeah, that's really, really smart. I found that we do that in the blogathon launch whenever we do the blogathon, the big community blogathon, and then we open the mastermind. And it's very much like we bring them along for the week. And then at the end, I'm like, look at how much you got done. Like, do you see how much you got done? I'm like, and the proof is like in the pudding. I'm like, I know a lot of people in that challenge get more done on their business that week than any other week in the year. And it's like, this is what I got. You want it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I had somebody send me a message from the free group. And she was like, so what is this paid group thing? And so I explained to her what it was and kind of who it was for. And she was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to read the books every month. And, I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it doesn't sound like that would be, for you. It sounds like, maybe just stick it to the free group right now might be what you need. And she was like, okay, thanks. And so
you could have made that mean a bunch of stuff though. And this is what people do. They make it mean a bunch of stuff about them and about their offer and that no one wants it. And
yeah.
You're just like, yeah, that's okay. No big deal.
And it was oddly enough. Yeah. My mindset because I joined your group from I think it was the September blogathon. And it feels like I've been in there forever. But it's only been, 4 months, 5 months now. And it's been mind changing. At 56 years old, it's hard sometimes to change how you think. And it's been really nice to get those shifts and to know why the shifts are necessary.
Yeah, I love hearing you say that because that's really one of the things I try to do in there is just to get people to manage their minds and to think differently, because I don't really want people to have to come to the call to ask me stuff all the time. What I really want is for people to feel empowered and confident enough to execute in their business on their own and make those kind of decisions. And that's why on the coaching calls, I very rarely even answer people's questions, right? They'll be like, should I delete my Facebook group or should I do this? And I'm like,
what do you think you should do?
Right. We go through this whole thing, right? But I really want, I want people to think differently and look at how they're thinking. So I love hearing you say that.
Well, I think women in particular have a really big fear of failure. There's something attached to that with our identity. We don't want to fail and we don't want to show that we have failed, and we make it mean something about us. And I love your challenge that you've kind of thrown out to us for this year, fail big, fail often. I want you to go out and fail how many times this quarter. And I decided, I'm going to embrace that and not worry about if I fail and what it means or doesn't mean. It's an opportunity to grow and to learn.
It takes so much of the pressure off too, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs spend a lot of time in this space of well, what if it doesn't work? And what if I do this and no one buys? And what if that, or what if this? But I think in our community, in the mastermind, we really just try to be so what if it doesn't work? We'll just do something else because we're overcomers and we're all going to be successful as a community. And the failure doesn't have to mean anything about your business isn't going to work or you're not good or your ideas isn't good, or it doesn't have to mean anything, right? So neutralizing some of that stuff just so people can start taking action and make those moves. It's easier said than done. I've spent a lot of time in indecision and stuff God knows my entrepreneurship journey.
Well, and even being intimidated by the bigger guys out there that have successful whatever type of blogs or memberships or whatever it is we're trying to grow. I only saw a couple of really successful book membership, book club type memberships. Anne Bogle from the Modern Mrs. Darcy has one, and she's got, I'm sure, thousands of people that are in and out of it. But it wasn't at all what I wanted. And I knew that. It took me a little while to work through it. There's a guy that has a business one, and it's very successful. And again, it was like, but that's not at all what I want. Nobody has what I want. So I took that as, I guess I have to do it if I want it.
But your offer feels so much like you, though. It really does. Your brand and your offer and everything you do feels so authentic to you. And I think that's what's so special and powerful about what you're doing. And I think it takes a lot of people a long time to have the nerve to do that, to just be like, I'm going to show up and be myself and offer what I have to offer. And I feel like it's good enough. And I feel like I can be paid for it.
Right. And I don't, I don't have any big desires for 10K months or anything like that. And, I don't have, I've got my kids' college to pay for, but, I don't have thousands of dollars of debt or anything. And we have a pretty simple life, and I know what I need. And it's, it's pretty simple, and I know I can get there with what I'm doing.
Right. But you have a clear plan to make the money. What I see a lot of people do is like, they're like, I want a 10K month, but also they're not making any money and they're like staggering around, right? You're just like, this works. This is making income. I'm going to scale this one offer, right? You're not running around selling 1,000 different things. You're like, I'm going to get this one thing to work. It's going to bring in consistent income for you. And I think that's awesome. You're just like really zeroed in on focused and have a plan. And I think it definitely will work. And I'm telling you, I know you think I'm nuts, but the hardest part is really getting from like, once you get to 0 to 1,000, like that's the hardest part. So you're going to find that it's easier to go to 1,000 to 2,000 and then 2,000 to 4,000 and 4,000 to 8,000, is going to be easier. It gets incrementally easier because you have more experience, you have the tools, you have so much clarity. A year from now, you're going to have so much clarity on this offer, on what it is and why people need it and who's buying. So I think it's totally possible for you to scale as high as you want. Why not? Right? If you can sell it to 7 people, you can sell it to 70 or 700.
The beauty is with this type of model is whether I'm selling it to 7 or 700, it's the same work for me. I don't do anything different. So I love that.
Well, that's what's so powerful about a lot of online business models, courses and group coaching and community and different groups is like, you don't have to sell your time for money, which is such a huge mindset shift for a lot of people. And it's like, what if you can make more money and not work more hours? It's like, that's really like, like head explosion, like what? Like I could do what? I mean, how magical is that? I still think it's awesome, right? I think it's like the best. And I think the community part is so special. I believe a lot in community, and it's a big part of my mission and like what I want to do. And I just think it's so important for people, especially right now, to have a place that is just to feel good and a place that's just comfort, right? And friends, like that kind of stuff is missing from a lot of people's lives right now in such a profound way.
It is. And I'm finding that my people, they miss traveling, and who doesn't this, for the last year and a half or whatever. And so that brings us together, which I love. So
yeah. And that's like such a unique target market, right? She's like, you're just attracting a whole tribe. This is what I did with the mastermind too. I always say this. I'm like, you guys are exactly like me. Like sometimes people will be on calls and people will be talking about stuff. And I'm like, how did I find, like all my life, I felt like such a misfit. And I'm like, how did I find 100 and something people that are exactly like me? Exactly. And you're going to have a tribe of people that are exactly like you. It's so awesome. that are like
It
reading
is.
books and into
Bunch
travel.
of nerds that like to travel, and yeah.
Yeah, but it's so fun though to connect. It's just fun to have like-minded people around. And I think a lot of us don't necessarily have that in our real life.
Yeah, I agree.
Where can people find you if they want to stalk you on the interwebs?
They can find me at bookloversadventures.com for the blog stuff, or on Facebook, look up Literary Escape Book Club. That's the free group, and you can see what we do.
Yeah, go join Becki's free group. I mean, we all
Yeah.
need to read more books, I think, right?
I think so, and I try to choose pretty good ones. So.
Yeah, like a literary escape. If you want to
Yeah.
work with a literary escape artist,
That's
you definitely
right.
want to check Becki out.
The one and only.
She's the best literary escape artist.
Exactly.
I love that you gave yourself your own title. I want to give myself a new title. Blog coaching rant queen. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this. I think this is so helpful. And I think it's just helpful for people to hear just kind of different things people have done and different experiences. And I love talking about business. So I love hearing like what everyone's doing and what they've learned. So thank you so much for coming on here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And then you guys can come mastermind with Becki. She's in the mastermind with me. So we would love to have you in that community as well.
Great community. I highly recommend it.
We'll have Becki on when she has her first 10K month. We'll have her back on the podcast.
I'll be ready.
Yeah. That's all we have for you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Blogging Breakthroughs podcast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I wanted to let you know that the doors to the mastermind are open. The Blogging Breakthroughs Mastermind is a group I created to help support you on your business, to help you get clarity on your business, to help you make more money faster, to help you be in community with other women. Building a business on your own is so hard. It's so isolating. I see so many women buying courses, getting discouraged, not getting the results that they want. I created this group to support you while you build your business. In addition to being part of an amazing community of women, you also get invited to come to a weekly group coaching call on Zoom with me. These calls are really, really special. People are really raw and honest about what's going on in their business and their life. And it's just a time for us to come together, to connect, support each other, brainstorm business ideas, just anything you guys need. These calls are really, really special, and I really believe they will help you grow your business. In addition to the calls with me, you also get access to tons of group coaching calls, guest workshops, co-working hours, a blogathon that we run every single week to help you stay motivated and working on your business. There's so many resources available to support you. You don't have to build this business on your own, and I hope you will consider coming to join us inside the mastermind. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you guys soon.